Welcome to another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. Up next, we will talk basketball, men's and women's, playoff scenarios. Also look at the upcoming OVC track meet with Calvin Edwards. All that and much more coming up right here on Panther Sports Talk.
Production for Panther Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Johnson's Automotive Service is a proud supporter of Panther Sports on WEIU. Johnson's is a complete car facility for all your automotive repair and maintenance needs. Johnson's Automotive Service, keeping your life running.
Welcome to another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. We're talking basketball this week. We'll start out with EIU men's basketball coach Jay Spoonhour. And Coach, senior night last night, a big win. I know we talked last week about Sherman Blanford going into it, and having been a coach for a long time and a player yourself, it's always good for a senior to kind of get that win on his last night on his home court.
Yeah, and to play well. You know, I mean, sometimes you have so many things going on, and you think about, okay, things that you probably don't need to be thinking about going into a game, because it's hard enough just playing in a game. You're thinking about your folks flying in, you're thinking about tickets, you're thinking about all these things, and then you want to play well and you go out there, and a lot of times you don't. And he really did a good job. I mean, because it's not a conventional game playing Chicago State. They trap you and get after you and do all kinds of things. And so the game was, there's not a lot of structure to the game. You have to go make plays, and he did a good job. I mean, he had another double-double. You know, I mean, 13 points and 10 rebounds, and you know, he's just getting to where that's kind of what he does, which that's a pretty nice thing to be, to count on for a guy.
Now, you talk about that. You guys threw Chicago State in there, and it worked out well, I guess, to be able to plug in a home game late in the year. Yep. Normally, in past years, the bracket buster game would have come back to you this year. That's no longer in effect. So to be able to get a non-conference game, I guess a home game was more important. Is it good or bad to kind of break it up with a non-conference game this late in the season? Or
we needed a home game.
Okay.
I mean, we needed a home game. Otherwise, we would have had senior night on January 31st. You know, so
yeah.
I mean, we had to have some sort of game at home, and we were lucky that Chicago State could do it, because there's not a whole lot of teams that have. Everybody has typically a break in their schedule somewhere. Yeah. You don't always like to play non-league games. It happened more years ago when you had 8-team leagues. Now everybody's got 16-team leagues, 12-team leagues, so there aren't that many gaps in there. You know, I think, is it better to probably play all your league games? Yeah, probably so, but it's either that or you're going to front load it in your November and December schedule. And with this team, with so many new guys, you didn't want it. We needed practice and fewer games, because we knew it was going to take a while. We've played better, here at the end of the year than early for sure. It hasn't shown in the record lately because we've been on the road, and then here we've got one more.
Now, the way the schedule is played out, you guys played Belmont on last Thursday, and then you played Chicago State, and you mentioned already at the start of the show that Chicago State plays an unconventional style. Belmont plays a little bit different style too. Does that kind of throw you guys a little bit out of rhythm now that you're going back and playing an SIU Edwardsville team that probably plays maybe more of what the mainstream type of offenses and defenses are in the OVC?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that Belmont is unconventional. I think that they just play really good basketball. Chicago State, the only thing that's unconventional about them is what they do defensively. It's just different than what a lot of people do, in that they'll just come trap you. They'll trap the first pass, they trap the dribbler, whatever. Similarities are with SIU Edwardsville and Belmont is they both shoot threes, and they shoot them pretty well, and they run ball screens. And so in that respect, you try to pick out the similarities. Hey, here's what we did, here's what we didn't do well against Belmont. You better do this against Edwardsville, it's going to be the same thing. Chris Davis had a great game against us, a wing that can shoot threes. Their point guard was really good. In that respect, I mean, they're similar. They score a lot of baskets. They're a very good offensive team.
The season for right now comes down to the one game regular season left at SIU Edwardsville. Win and you're in for sure. Lose and some other things have to play out with some other teams.
Are we in for sure? You think?
If you win, you're in for sure, yes. Okay. That's what I've been told.
Okay, good.
Because you win the tiebreaker with Edwardsville head-to-head, and they'd have the same record as you.
There we go.
That's what I've been told.
Good. Glad to clarify it.
Win and you're in for sure. Taking that part out of it, you guys played Edwardsville a month ago. how fresh, I guess, is that game in players' minds, or is this kind of a reteaching thing the couple days you lead into that game?
That's not fresh, but I mean, that's one of those things that guys figure out is, you show them some film and go over it. The other thing about it is, though, is that Edwardsville's team's changed. They're doing different things than they did then. They're playing differently. Games go in waves and cycles and seasons do, and so they're doing some things that are a little bit different. No, I think what you do is that's where, like we were just saying, you can compare it to Chicago State, to Belmont. Say, look, we didn't do a very good job guarding the ball screen against Belmont. We know we're going to get ball screened against Edwardsville. We're going to have to do this better. We're going to have to do that better. And then there's things that we're doing offensively that we're better now than we were there, but they're better too. It's just and plus you're going on the road, and we've gotten some pretty good road wins, but this will be. I mean, there's no question it's going to be hard. They're having a great year. I mean, they're sitting at third in the division, or second in division.
Yep.
Second in division. I mean, that's a heck of a deal for them. It's really good. They're in the tournament, which I know was a big deal for them to try to get in because they hadn't been in before. And, they're feeling pretty good. And they got Belmont here in a couple of nights.
Now, you talk about that, the fact that you have played them a month ago. You played them last year over there, but an entirely different makeup for a team. Mm-hmm. The guys have never been there before, most of the guys on your team. Is there anything that playing on that court that's different than any place else, or do you kind of just approach it as the next road game?
No, it's the same. I mean, it's just, I guess there are some places that's hard to play at Belmont, it's hard to play at Murray, but it isn't because of the court. It's because of the teams. And it'll be hard to play there because they've got really good guards. And then Keaton Jackson, the kid inside, is really starting to play well. He's one of the best players in the league now. He wasn't early in the year. He's grown and gotten better. And so the road stuff, it's almost always the team. It's very rarely the environment. There are some places that the noise really bothers you, but this league, we haven't had a problem with noise. I mean, I've been in noisy places before. It isn't noise; it's the teams. That's the hard part.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck over this weekend. A reminder to everybody that the game will be at 5 o'clock. That's a schedule change from some of the other schedules that have been out earlier. It was moved, so it'll be a live national TV broadcast on Fox Sports Midwest. So. Big game, I guess, big TV there, be live for everybody. You'll be able to hear that game also on the radio. Mike Brad and Jack Ashmore will have the call. Coach, best of luck in that, and
thanks, bud.
We'll be talking to you next week for the OVC Tournament. We'll be right back with This Week in EIU Athletics.
Panther fans, here's what's going on in Panther Athletics. Men's basketball now 10-18 on the season and 6-9 in OVC play, as they lost at Belmont last Thursday night, 82-63, and they picked up a non-conference win on Monday night at Lance Arena against Chicago State, 84-62. Women's basketball improved to 7-7 in OVC play and 12-13 overall, as they won at Belmont this past Saturday, 54-48. Indoor track hosted the EIU Friday night special at the Lance Fieldhouse, and EIU posted 14 first-place finishes. Swimming completed their season as they competed at the Summit League Championships in Indianapolis this past week. Both the men and women placed 6th overall. Baseball now 1-6 on the season as they lost a 3-game series at number 25 Arkansas. On Tuesday, baseball is at number 7 Louisville. For the result and stats of that game, check out EIUPanthers.com. Softball now 9-5 on the young season as they went 3-1 at the Jackson State tourney, with wins over Jackson State twice and against Kansas. Men's tennis now 3-3 on the season as they lost 5-2 at Southern Illinois. And women's tennis stays undefeated at 5-0, winning at Bradley 4-3 and winning at Chicago State 5-2. Now here's what to watch for this week. On Thursday, women's basketball with their regular season home finale at Lance Arena as they host first place UT Martin at 7 o'clock. You can listen to the game live on Hitmix 88.9 WEIU, or you can watch a tape delay broadcast on WEIU TV at 9 o'clock. On Friday, softball is at the Charleston Southern tourney. They'll take on Colgate at 8 in the morning, followed up with a 12 o'clock match against host Charleston Southern. Track begins a 2-day run at the OVC Indoor Championships in Nashville, Tennessee, with competition starting at 9 in the morning. And baseball begins play at the Mississippi State tourney. They'll take on Michigan State at 2:30. On Saturday, softball continues action at the Charleston Southern tourney. They'll take on Appalachian State at 8 in the morning. And then later on that same day, softball will take on an opponent to be determined. Track wraps up competition at the OVC Indoor Championships in Nashville, Tennessee, with competition starting at 9 in the morning. Baseball continues play at the Mississippi State Tourney at 11 o'clock as they take on the host Bulldogs of Mississippi State. Women's tennis is at Indianapolis for a 12 o'clock match. And it's a Panther basketball regular season doubleheader at SIU Edwardsville. The women's game at 1 o'clock, and you can listen to that game on Hitmix 88.9 WEIU. And men's basketball with their game at SIU Edwardsville at 5 o'clock. You can listen to that game on Hitmix 88.9 WEIU, or you can watch the game on TV on Fox Sports Midwest. On Sunday, baseball with 2 more games to end the Mississippi State Tourney. They'll take on Michigan State at 11 o'clock, and then to host Mississippi State at 2:30. And softball wraps up play at the Charleston Southern Tourney with an opponent to be determined. On Tuesday, baseball travels 1 hour east to Terre Haute to take on Indiana State at 2 o'clock. And next Wednesday, March 5th, men's tennis travels up to Peoria for a 1 o'clock match against Bradley. And the OVC Basketball Tournament begins in Nashville, with women's games beginning at 12 and the men's games starting at 6. For Panther Sports Talk, I'm Ramin Karbasyoun.
Welcome back to Panther Sports Talk. We're now joined by EIU women's basketball coach Debbie Black. Coach is here with us, so everybody, she is really here. We've had some people fill in for you. We've had to tape some. I know you've been out busy. The way the schedule has shook out, that you guys have been out to get out recruiting, which I know is important for the future. But right now we're going to talk about kind of this year's team. You guys have now come off 2 big wins on the road. And I say not only big wins, but the fact that they were on the road made them even bigger. The way this team had kind of struggled early on the road early in the year.
Yeah, I think it's shown some growth with the team. I think, as a coach, you hope that your team peaks in whatever they do when they do it. And I'm glad that we're doing it now. They were sort of starting to get it. We're sort of a young team, even though we start 3 seniors, but they haven't played a lot. And I think this team is showing some growth when we need it, how we need it, and understanding how important each game was. And the win against Belmont was pretty telling.
And I think the other thing for you, though, this your first go-around as a head coach, is you're probably, as the team is growing, you're probably growing as a head coach yourself. And I say that because I noticed the other day that you kind of determined in certain games that you shortened the bench the other day because that was what was in the best interest for that game. You only played 7 players. In other games, you've had to lengthen the bench, and those are things you've kind of had to learn as a head coach, and then you actually have to make the decision, whereas in the past it was easier to probably nudge the coach and say, hey, send so-and-so in.
Yeah, it's really interesting to be an assistant coach and then go from an assistant coach to a head coach, where you have to call the shots, and as the year gets closer to the finish, your decisions become tighter. It's kind of like at the end of a game. When the game is close, your turnovers have to be less. Your decisions have to be better. And it's the same as I feel as I'm learning this process as a head coach, is that you have to figure out who can help us in what game and when, now that I know my players. And I think, to their credit, my bench, they know it too. They know, who we might call on. They need to be ready, and why I'm putting them in. So it's kind of both ways, but you get 6 months to determine that.
Now, you guys, coming off of that, you'll have 3 seniors that you talked about. They will they'll finish playing their final game at home this Saturday. We talked a little bit on the radio post-game after the Belmont game. How do you kind of keep them focused, realizing that the season doesn't end on Thursday when they go out there and have the awards presented to them? 1, there's that game after that night, but then 2, you're going to come back in a game that is also going to be very important on Saturday against SIU Edwardsville.
I think those 3 seniors, I haven't been around them for 4 years, but they, first of all, UT Martin and Eastern Illinois is a rivalry. It's just about who's going to, I don't care who's better, they're going to show up. They're going to want to win that game for the importance of themselves and the program. And they also understand where we stand. Every game matters, and I don't think I'll have any problem convincing them to play hard. I think what I'm going to probably have to convince them to do is relax. Let the game come to them. Let's, go out there and play our game, and because they're not going to give up. This particular group of seniors haven't played a lot in their time here, but they've probably proven in the last 2 months that they really deserve to be out there, and they want to win, and they want to see the season continue. So in order for them to do that, we have to continue to play well.
Now, very similar to the men's situation, we talked with EIU men's basketball coach Jay Spoonhour in the first segment. One win and you're in. Different than the men, you have 2 games to kind of get there, one at home, one on the road. If you were to lose both, some things could still shake out to where the women get in. Do you, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, do you put any more emphasis on one game or the other, or do you just approach them as they come this week on the schedule?
I think you really approach them as they come on the schedule. I mean, you have the game in front of us. We're at home, team that's good, but they've proven that they're not perfect, that we can, have a shot to beat them. And our girls are playing well. We won our last 4 out of 5. We tend to play better against teams that are above us. And that has to go a long way. But, yeah, I think you approach one at a time. And you know what? Wherever it falls, it falls. I mean, the standings, we can't control that. We can only control W's and losses. And that's what I tell my girls. Same thing I tell you. So it's just the next game in front of us, which is Thursday night. Senior night, of course, but it's another game against a team we obviously have a pretty good rivalry with.
Now, you talk about that game, and that game will be on the radio, and then it'll be tape delayed right here on WIU TV as well. When you're down there against them, you shoot your season best in terms of field goal percentage, and part of that is the flow of how they want to play. They want to get out and run up and down the floor. Their goal is to score 100 points, which they did in that game. We've done several times this year. Turnovers were a big factor in that. They were one of the reasons why you guys were able to really beat Belmont in a grinded-out game the other day. You had a season-low 7. I guess that becomes really the emphasis and limiting second-chance opportunities for a very quick UT Martin team.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. We can thank them for our kind of coming back. Caitlin Payne got back on page. She had 7 threes. We had 26 turnovers against them and still scored 86 points. I think that we have to keep that in mind, that if we can cut down our turnovers against a team like that, 86 points is going to win 99% of your games. So we just need to remember that, yes, they do want to up-tempo it. We need to make them take tough shots. Their superstars are going to make their shots. We just want them to take a lot of shots to get their 20 and 30 points. And we just need to take care of the basketball. I think that's really, in that first game, that was the biggest thing I've noticed now watching film, that we have to really contain our turnovers. If we got down to 10, 12, I think we're going to win that game.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck on that. And Thursday night, reminder, 7 o'clock at Lance Arena, senior night, Jordan Crunk, Tara Nolson, Morgan Palambizio, and then also I think they're going to recognize Jackie Herman, the manager, who started as a player here prior to the game. And then on Saturday, 1 o'clock over at SIU Edwardsville. That is a change in times from earlier this year due to the men's game being on Fox Sports Midwest. We'll be right back with more here on Panther Sports Talk right after this.
Crunk to Orsova. Orsova drives in, lowers the shoulder, and good layup. They give it to Orsova, triple teamed over to Palambizio to Crunk, fires a 3, and that one is in.
Eastern Illinois Panther Basketball is on WEIU. OVC Western Division rivals meet on the Lance Arena floor as the EIU women look to take down the top team in the OVC, UT Martin. It's the Panthers and Skyhawks Thursday at 9 on WEIU, your home for Panther Basketball.
And that's going to wrap up another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. As we roll out on this week's program, we've got a bunch of different highlights from you from different things going on in EIU athletics. We have a feature on Calvin Edwards from the track team as the Panthers head to the OVC Championships this week in Nashville. Also some highlights from Jimmy Garoppolo at the NFL Combine this week. And then some highlights of Sherman Blanford on senior night against Chicago State. Thanks for watching Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU.
Calvin Edwards of Eastern Illinois men's track had a stellar freshman year. He was 2013 OVC Freshman of the Year, and he was selected to first team All-OVC in the 200-meter and 400-meter, winning both events as part of the OVC Indoor Championship team.
It was a very successful year for me here, my freshman year, because I didn't think I would do so well as I did, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't think I would as well, but I did, and I would like to continue this until I graduate. Coming as a freshman, you didn't think I was gonna jump right into it, maybe a couple meets here and there, but traveling every week with the upperclassmen, they suspecting big things out of me, as well as like me learning and still being a freshman here at a high school.
Coach Tom Akers knows the talent that he has in Edwards, and he also understands what it takes to have success.
Most athletes have a lot of goals and want to accomplish a lot of great things. You know, the attention to detail is what sets the good athletes apart from the rest. Everybody wants to be successful. The Olympics are on now. Everybody wants to be an Olympian and win a gold medal. But what they don't understand is the process and what it takes to accomplish those goals, what it takes to reach that level. And so we're just concerned with making sure we're doing what needs to be done to continue to improve. You know, if we continue to work hard and do the things that help us get better, the results are going to come, the goals are going to come. The first year for freshmen is a really long year. I mean, we train from early September until December before we have our first track meet, which is longer than the entire high school season. So here they go into training longer than they're used to training. So by the end of outdoors, he was ready for the outdoor season to be done, like most freshmen typically that year. This year, as a sophomore coming back, has really matured a great deal. His work ethic, his attitude, his leadership, all have taken giant steps forward, and I think that's been reflected in the way he's been performing thus far this year.
Edwards has carried on his success from his freshman year, as he's won his third straight OVC Male Track Athlete of the Week honor.
Going into year two, I always have to be better than I was last year. Faster, stronger, mentally and physically stronger than I was. Don't want to dwell on last year, but you want to be better than it. And I'm saying take some things from freshman year and put it together what you learned from my second year here being here.
Usually you like kids to come back and start out where they left off last year. And like I said, with his work ethic, his attitude and everything, he started off way ahead of where he left off last year. And so we knew it was going to be a great year, and I think, you know, those awards that he has won thus far through the indoor season is just an indicator of what he's put in. I think he's still discovering what he's capable of doing at this point in time. And that's probably the best way to keep it, I think, because a lot of times with expectations come pressures, and then we start, you know, if we start falling a little bit short, now all of a sudden we're carrying baggage, you know, around with us, and more pressure starts to build. So I think, you know, his very calm, you know, sort of take it as it comes type of attitude is definitely working in his favor.
Going to other schools, for my official visit, I felt very welcome and at home here at Eastern compared to other schools that I've been to, that I went to, that everybody was just like to themselves and that didn't come introduce themselves to me. As it here at Eastern, like everybody was like more interested in what I was doing and why I was here and what I was running, things like that. And so I felt welcome, like I wanted to be a part of this team as well. Came here for 2 years for state, and seeing and knowing that they have won conference so many times, you do want to be, it did play a factor of me signing to Eastern as well. And I'm glad I did sign here to Eastern. I would like to go to regionals indoor for 2 events, 200 and 400 indoor regionals. Long-term goal is to have my name on those boards back there for multiple events and relays. But to accomplish that means so I can look back when I'm all old and like can't walk, to like look back and see what I did in those 4 years of college. Go to Lions, yes, somewhere down the line, so hopefully run in the Winter Olympics as well. There's some Olympics in general.
Edwards will carry the success of his indoor season to the OVC Indoor Championships, which will take place this weekend in Nashville, Tennessee. Reporting for Panther Sports Talk, I'm Chris Boswell.
Now here's an Eastern Illinois Panther, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Quick release, athletic kid. I thought he helped himself maybe as much as anybody in the draft in the 2-week period by playing in the East-West game and the Senior Bowl. He went from kind of a mid to late guy to a potential 2nd or 3rd round draft pick.
There's an Eastern Illinois Rutgers connection right there.
Thing is you don't have to put a lot of velocity on this. This is one, like you said, Mike, where you're setting it to the outside.
Yep.
We're not really looking for the guy to catch it and turn up. It's more, we're trying to get 12 yards on the sideline.
He's the only senior on the Eastern team, and I believe this is the first time his mother has seen him play a college basketball game. So I think he's excited about that. He's from Philadelphia, transfer from Marshalltown Junior College. One of the hardest working players, I'd say, in the time I broadcast Eastern basketball. Was on top of the key, inside Olivier, went for the dunk, put it in and got fouled. Right to Reggie Smith, right block behind the back pass to Olivier, 9-footer, good.
He made it that time.
There's a drive by Blanford through traffic, took a bump, baked it in, it'll count. Smith out front with it, looks to drive it, pass to Piper, three-pointer, in and out, and back in off the glass. Runs it up into the front court, slows it down, pass into the basket, Petrowski for a dunk and a foul. Shake of the hand from his head coach, Jay Spoonhour. Another double-double for Sherman Blanford in his final game at Lance Arena.
I tell you, he has been a pleasure to watch.
Production for Panther Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Johnson's Automotive Service is a proud supporter of Panther Sports on WEIU. Johnson's is a complete car facility for all your automotive repair and maintenance needs. Johnson's Automotive Service, keeping your life running.